Hola, soy Alfonso Escámez de Pecados Veniales y en doble firma vas a poder descubrir casi todas las marcas de relojería independiente en nuestros Indie Talks. Espero que os guste.
Hello, this is Alfonso Escámez and welcome to a new chapter of Indie Talks. Today in this new interview we have with us Claudine Gertiser, co-CEO of ORIS. Welcome to Madrid. It's a pleasure to have you here. We have to thank also Rabat because here we are at the Rabat's boutique here also in Madrid. ORIS is a well-known brand and followed for many watch lovers and connoisseurs. It's a pleasure to have you and to know more about ORIS, a very interesting brand with an amazing ratio quality price. Then, my first question, just a little introduction from yourself about who is Claudine Gertiser.
Thank you very much for having me here. It's wonderful that I have this opportunity to come here, especially in this environment and in this POS where we have also our watches. It's always nice to be in a place where we are represented. Thank you for having me. Talking about myself, I grew up with ORIS. Thanks to my father who joined the watch industry in '78 when I was 8 years old. So I grew up with ORIS. Nevertheless, I had an opportunity when I was very young, only 23 years, to join a completely different sector and create my own business. That's why I have chosen a different path. I went my own way during almost 20 years, and I joined the watch industry, and I went back and started to work in the daily business of ORIS only 10 years ago.
Okay.
So that's about me. I don't know if you want to know anything else.
Yeah, I would like to know something that I ask all the our interviewees is just, do you remember your first watch when you were a young girl?
Yes, of course, I remember it. I remember the very first one. I prefer to speak about the one which I still love, because the first one was a quartz watch at that time. And of course, I'm in love with mechanical watches. So I very much love my first mechanical watch, which I remember and which means a lot more to me, which is a Big Crown. It has a very nice guilloche, and I still can wear it, and it's still a beauty. So that's the one I really love to remember.
Then you come from a family from the watchmaking sector, but when did you realize that you were in love with watches?
Well, I was always in love with watches. Of course, when you grow up with watches, you just cannot think about a life without watches. So I was always in love with watches. But having the opportunity when I was young to join a completely different business, I decided to go, like I mentioned before, my own path for a few years, and then at a very critical age, when I felt now it's time to make a step and take the last chance before it's going by, to join the watch industry. It was 10 years ago when I really felt, no, now I have to jump into the possibility to work for a brand like ORIS. It's a really honor to work for a brand like ORIS, and it's a great pleasure as well.
After knowing a little bit of you, let's go to talk about ORIS.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about the origins and the story of the brand?
Yes, sure. We are proud that we can celebrate our 120th anniversary this year. So the story started in 1904 when the two founders, they came from the French part of Switzerland, and they came to a small village called Holstein. It's still the place where we are today, and it's where everything has started. It's in the countryside, 30 minutes from Basel, And we still get inspired by this environment, and it's where everything has started. And ORIS has gone through ups and downs during the 120 years. Soon after the founding, ORIS was one of the most important watch brands, and has survived the two world wars, and has survived the quartz crisis. And we are very lucky that we are still here, and ambition to continue this path. And yes.
Mm-hmm. Give us a perspective of your view as a woman being the co-CEO of the company, and what are your duties and responsibilities as a co-CEO of a historic brand like ORIS?
Well, the ambition is together with all the team. We have a very strong team. It's our ambition to continue this rich history we have, to continue this successful story together with our team, and to really continue launching innovative novelties with an unexpected surprise, with something which is really hitting the ground, let's say, and that's what we want to continue, to make people smile with our watches for many years. That's our ambition, and contribute to please all our watch lovers and watch fans and our community.
Mm-hmm. Okay, tell us a little bit, what do you consider is the DNA of ORIS as a brand, and what sets you apart from other brands?
Well, our most important, or one of our most important key values is certainly the independence. We are not only, it doesn't only mean that we don't depend on, that we don't belong to a big group, but also we have a very independent mindset. We have a spirit to do what we think is right to do. We don't need, of course, we also have quarterly reports and figures and all this, but in ORIS we have really a long-term thinking. So we can do things which we think is right in a long-term view. We don't have to consider only a short-term results. So that makes us very strong, and keeps a very independent mindset. And yes, it's very inspiring if you also, the team and everybody is very keeping the thoughts very independently, and this sets us definitely apart from other brands. Then another one certainly is that at ORIS you always hear that everything has to make sense. Everything we do has to make sense. So whenever we have a new innovation, it has to make sense. Like, for instance, our depth gauge, you probably know, which is a mechanical, it's a diving watch, and it has a mechanical altimeter. So it definitely makes sense to have an depth gauge in a diving watch. The same for the altimeter, which is an aviation watch, and it's also mechanical. And of course, our last great innovation, or important innovation with the caliber 400, it's to have automatic in-house movement which has 5 days power reserve. This is just something which sets the new standard in the industry, and which is definitely something that makes sense if you can have a watch with 5 days power reserve and 10 years warranty. So innovations like this, constructions like this, to really produce and design watches which have function that makes sense, which can fulfill something which is in the daily use helpful for our customer, apart from being a very nice, beautiful jewelry also. Mm-hmm. Of course, it also is our aim that it has a function.
Mm-hmm. I was going to ask you if you consider yourself as independent brand, but you have told me twice that you are independent. Then what do you consider are the pros and the cons of being an independent brand?
Well, I already mentioned a little bit that it's certainly the flexibility. We are free to explore. We can go the ways we think is right in a long-term view. And this is really, of course, a very big advantage. And we are also very flexible and fast. We have short ways. We have a lean organization. It's all things which are a big advantage. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Any con?
Yeah, of course, there is always a con in everything we have. It can happen that, especially if times are a bit harder, it can happen that as an independent brand, it's even tougher because we cannot put the same pressure on our retailers as maybe some big groups can do, and it makes it a bit harder in tough times. Even if sell-out figures are very good, we cannot have the same force like maybe a brand in a big group. That's maybe one of the points which are more difficult, let's say.
Okay, then you have a motto which says go your own way.
Yes.
What do you want to express with that motto?
Well, it means that we create watches for customers who like to go their own way, like who have an independent mindset like we have. So they are free. They have like we do. They are very independent in thinking. They don't necessarily need to follow a crowd, and they set themselves also a bit apart. Yes.
What is your total production of watches right now?
As we are a privately owned company, it's actually a figure we don't communicate.
Oh, no problem.
But very often also when I look at the figures which are estimations, I have to say that we are a little bit underestimated sometimes.
Great. Do you produce your own calibers?
Yes.
And if not, who manufactures your calibers? Because some of them are not manufacturer, you are not producing them, no? Right?
Yes. We want to offer a variety of movements to our customers. That's why we have, let's say, a three-pillar strategy. We have the first pillar with our standard movement, which are sourced movement from Salita. Mm-hmm. And then in the second pillar we have our in-house movement, which is the caliber 400, which is an automatic movement, which we mentioned just before when we were talking. And this one sets us really apart with a new standard because it has 5 days power reserve, 10 years warranty, and highly anti-magnetic features. So this is the second pillar with the automatic in-house movement we have developed from scratch, and it was really the ambition to develop it in a way that it is more efficient, that it has less friction, so that it's really possible that it doesn't need be serviced for 10 years. So that's why it makes sense. It's not just let's say a marketing gag. It's really constructed to fulfill this need to serve in a long-term view.
In this case, a caliber like this, how much time more or less can it take you from that first designs till you have the calibers inside the watches? More or less.
Well, it depends. Now when we do like an additional complication to the existing movement, it's maybe a little bit shorter, but when we started from scratch with the automatic in-house movement, I think it's more than 5 years it took. Now, of course, with the complication that have been added, it's a bit shorter, but it needs maybe still 3 years, yes.
Mm-hmm. In the history and the development of some calibers of ORIS, there is a Spaniard guy, Ramon Hill, who has taken a great participation, and it's important his contribution to the brand. What can you tell us about him and about his work?
Well, he's really a mechanical genius, a watchmaking genius, let's say. He's incredible. My father always says he has the wheels turning in his head. And we started 10 years ago in 2014 when ORIS had the 110th anniversary. We started with the caliber 110. And this was the first launch. Was after a break of 35 years, we started to have our in-house movements again. And then we had this was a hound wind movement. This is a hound wind, the 110 upwards movements until 115 are all hand winded with 10 days power reserve. And so the last 115 was is a very nice model. It's a skeletonized version. You probably know.
Yeah, yeah.
It's housed in a nice case of the PPX collection, a titanium case, and it's one of my favorite pieces.
Amazing
Yes.
piece with all the case and bracelet in titanium.
Yes, it's a wonderful piece for all who love skeletonized pieces and love to see the mechanics. And this is the caliber 115. And then we started with the caliber 400. So what I want to say is that we have developed in 10 years 10 in-house movements, and this is a big achievement together with Ramon Hill. Yes.
Great. Can you tell us a little bit briefly about your collection and which model is your bestseller?
Well, we have five core models, which are all very iconic. For instance, we just spoke about the PPX with which is the last collection we launched, which is a very nice titanium case, very much avant-garde, and for people who love techniques and being in the futuristic way. And we have also the ORIS collection, the Big Crown, which is very famous, which is a collection which we have since 1938. So the Big Crown is a very historic piece, and always keeping the DNA of the original Big Crown. It's still very, very successful. And then the most successful piece is the Aquis. It's actually the one I'm wearing.
Yeah.
So this is the most successful collection we have with our Aquis models, and we just launched a redesign this year in Geneva. You were there, and you have seen our beautifully redesigned new Aquis date. Of course, we didn't want to change the DNA of the Aquis. It was very important to keep its DNA, and we have refined all the small little details and to make it more, even more attractive without changing the DNA, having small details adapted and to make it more.
And also that you are offering it in 3 different sizes and with manufacturer caliber and Salita movement, no?
Exactly. So yes, again, to offer our customer a nice, nice choice, and depending on what is the need, what are you looking for, and what is the budget. It's always nice to have a choice. And
then I think it's a difficult question. I know, I see what you are wearing. Then I was going to ask you which one is your favorite model.
Well, that's one of the most difficult questions. Yes, that's
to choose between mom and dad.
Yes, like, because basically I love most of our watches, and of course it's a privilege to be able to change the watches, and I like to change the watches depending on what I'm wearing, depending on what mood you are in, and this is a privilege. But I have to admit that since we launched the Aquis date, it was in April in Geneva, I'm wearing the caliber 400 Acquistate, and it's super cool because you really it's always matching. It's versatile. You can always wear it. With the caliber 400, you can put it away, and the weekends it's accurate. You don't need to change anything. It's just going on. I have to admit, I didn't change since April.
Oh.
And I'm
Great.
very happy with this blue Acquis.
I have to recognize that since I saw the two capsule editions, the red and the green ones that you released at the Watches and Wonders and were presented a little bit later, for me it was a very nice choice.
Yes.
The red one for summer is an amazing watch.
Yes, that was the idea, to have something for summer, and taste of summer we call it. A beautifully edition just for the summer, just to have a little bit of fun, fresh colors, and yes.
Any more novelties coming in the pipeline for 2024?
Yes, there are.
Any clue, any advance, any...
Well, it will not take a long time until the next launch. We will have the next launch in August in Geneva
Watch Week. Yeah.
For the Geneva, will you be there also?
No, we will go to Milano Watch Week. You know, it's the end of August and we are on holiday. And
yes, I know. It's always a little bit of a topic when we have this watch.
Then we will have to wait until the end of August to see novelties coming.
But you can look forward to it. It will be a model which will be very interesting for Spain because it's a bigger watch, and it's for the people who like to have maybe a little bit more on a dial.
Oh, great, great.
Let's say.
Okay, then how do you envision the future of the brand, let's say in a period of time of 5 to 10 years? How do you see the future of ORIS?
Well, basically we want to continue with the vision of, which already was the vision of our founders, which proved to be successful, so we certainly will not completely change this vision. We will continue this path to produce mechanical watches which with function that makes sense, and which prove to be also nice because they are affordable, so everybody who loves watches can have a mechanical watches if they would like to, and so that's certainly one of our vision, to make customer happy. All who would like to have a mechanical watch in the future. That's the biggest ambition, to have happy customers and make them smile, provide them with pieces that please them for many years. Mm-hmm. Always having an unexpected surprise, maybe an unexpected innovation, something, a mechanical twist or anything inside which you always find in an ORIS watch, or which you can see in our innovations. It's always something very special which you only can find at ORIS. So yeah, that would be our ambition, to please our customer, to surprise our customers also like this in the future and make them happy. And then of course we have another very important goal is to increase the ORIS community. We have a great ORIS community, many ORIS fans, and it's a wonderful thing. We have many ORIS social clubs, and we want to increase this community and share the pleasure, share the joy of mechanics together, and celebrate the joy of mechanics. So have nice experiences together, have nice exchanges together, and there we have very nice packagings also. So for everybody who is not a member of My ORIS yet, I recommend to register at My ORIS.
Yeah, and there is also in Madrid and in Barcelona ORIS Social Club.
Yes, right. There is the ORIS Social Club we have in like you say, in Madrid and Barcelona. We have many chapters, more than 50 worldwide, and it's also, apart from the My ORIS Club, it's also very interesting to join there. You can join there by going to the Facebook page. You just Google or just enter ORIS Social Club. And it's a great community to have fun together, to exchange and to have talk about watches. And this morning I just had the opportunity to meet the president of the ORIS Social Club in Madrid, and it's so inspiring to talk with people like him. Because then you really, then you know why you are working in this industry, and it keeps me motivated to work, to continue working. It's so inspiring having such an exchange, like also with you guys who are so into watches, having this passion and sharing this passion, and that's what it's all about in the community. And I think that is what makes a mechanical watch, to share the pleasure of something very emotional.
Then you have to go to the ORIS Social Club and then to join it, because they are organizing quite funny and interesting events where you can see the watches and the novelties.
Right. Yes. So if you are following, if you are having our newsletters, then you will always know when there is an event. No problem. And
also everything in Spanish.
Sorry?
Everything in Spanish, all the information at the ORIS Social Club, Barcelona and Madrid,
you
have all the info into
yes,
Spanish.
Yes.
Okay, then Claudine, what is the price range of your watches approximately?
It starts, for the source movement, it starts at Euro 1,900, and it goes up to 8,000 for the specialities and also the in-house movements, or specialities like an altimeter or an Aquis Pro 4,000 meter. So
also the PPX, no, with all in titanium, it goes
exactly,
a little bit higher.
Exactly.
Then ORIS has always been very concerned about sustainability, the environment. What are you doing to improve the world and to leave a better world for our kids in the future generations? What are the Change for Better initiatives?
Well, yes, ORIS is very much into sustainability since a long time, not only since it's in fashion to talk about. I think that's something important to know. We almost have it in our DNA, because we have always being careful with our resources and keeping an eye on this. And of course, we have since many years, we are supporting many organizations, be it in the ocean conservation or also in the social, with social partnerships, supporting social partners, and therefore it's already since many years that we are contributing and trying to bring change for the better. And in the last years we have, I think in 2021 we became climate neutral on group level. But for us it's important not only to compensate the CO2 emission, but also to reduce. So we have a special program in place, or special goals we have for every year. We would like to reduce more than 10% of our CO2 emissions. We started two years ago, and it was our ambition to reduce every year 10%. We didn't fully succeed. We had about 7 because we didn't consider enough our growth. So, but still, if you can grow and still reduce the CO2 emission, it's a big achievement, I think.
Yeah.
And we want to continue like this, always being aware of also compensating, not only of also reducing, not only compensating. And apart from this, this year we just launched a new packaging, also to contribute more to sustainability with less volume, and it helps a lot to reduce the CO2 emissions. And we have novelties to raise awareness, be it a limited edition. We just launched this week the Great Barrier limited edition, which is a beautiful piece, a beautiful Aquis. Maybe you have seen it.
With an amazing dial. Yeah.
It's an amazing, beautiful dial because the Great Barrier Reef is UNESCO heritage and has to be protected and is suffering a lot from climate change, and we are partnering with the Reef Restoration Foundation to support them to restore this reef and to give a contribution to this organization. And when you look at the watch, you almost have the feeling you're diving into the sea, and the dial looks like when you dive down, like when you have a dive and you look up and you
at the surface.
Yes, at the surface. So with pieces like this, we want to raise awareness about the sustainability, about the climate change and everything involved. And apart from this, it's also important for us not only to preach, but also to act. So we also have many activities like cleanups, which we do with friends of the brand, with customers, just to be together, to think about and to raise awareness, and also have a good moment, of course, but also contribute and raise awareness.
Then my last question that I always do to my interviewees is that if you were not wearing an ORIS, which model, which brand and model would you wear?
You put the most difficult question at the end.
The last one.
Yes, definitely a difficult question, because it's really difficult for me to identify myself with any other brand. Probably if money doesn't matter.
No limits.
No limits.
No limits.
If there are no limits, I would maybe go for a crazy MB&F in the evil case, something like this.
Good choose. It's a great brand. Yeah. Then, Claudine Gertiser Herzog, co-CEO of ORIS, thank you for being here with us at Indie Talks. Also to thank Rabat for allowing to be here at the Madrid boutiques to do this interview. And hope to see you soon, and waiting for the novelties at the end of August.
Well, thank you very much for having me. It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.